One Night Stand, a blog post written and narrated by Robert Fairhead from the Tall and True writer's website. In my writer's bio on Tall and True, I admit I've enjoyed a one-night stand. It was November 2003, but I remember the night like it was yesterday. I had worked up to it for 2 weeks. However, though I'd practiced my lines, I suffered first-time jitters as I took the stage to perform my stand-up comedy routine. I had signed up for the 2-week comedy writing course offered by my local community college in October 2003. Over the years, I've attended many midweek and weekend college courses, from bricklaying to astronomy, psychology and philosophy, and playing the guitar and ukulele. I've even studied Mandarin to help my son with his schoolboy language classes. Nowadays, the best we can manage is Ni Hao and Shay Shay. But comedy writing was something I'd wanted to explore for a long time. My 2003 diary records a fittingly farcical start to the first morning of the course. Saturday, 25th of October. Got lost and ended up in a bookkeeping class, but didn't realise until after I'd helped them rearrange tables and chairs. Made my apologies and joined an odd assortment of fellow students testing the waters of comedy writing. Among us was a hard-of-hearing older gentleman, John, who regaled the class all day with amusing tales from his apprenticeship, served in the 1930s. Left feeling a little disgruntled. I'd signed up to learn how to write comedy, like Ben Elton, with a political message, but the tutor's exercises had me generating lines about gherkins and dog poop. Hopefully the creative comedy juices will flow more freely, with an edge, during the week. Back in October 2003, my son was a 16-month-old toddler. I worked part-time as a freelance contractor and was Mr. Mom at home with him 3 days a week. And this meant I didn't have much creative me time before the next class. Friday, 31st of October. Put off working on my comedy sketch until the last minute and stayed up to 2:30 a.m. Wrote about the recent visits of US President Bush and Chinese President Hu to Canberra, taking the piss out of both sides, and the reaction to the visits by the two presidents of the alternative political parties. Enjoyed the process, but couldn't land an ending. The sketch seemed to be drifting without a destination. Rather than worry, I let it drift and relied on the right words popping into my head, as I've done with other writing. My diary entry for the following day notes, I woke absolutely knackered after a late night of writing, and no doubt an early morning with my toddler son. Saturday, 1st of November. Turned up late for week 2 of the comedy course to find only the tutor and old John present. A couple of other students sauntered in after me, but 3 others appear to have bottled out. Once again, I wasn't keen on the idea generation exercises, especially as I kept coming back to gags about gherkins and dog poop. What I wanted to do was to sit by myself and polish my political sketch. Tutor said it showed promise, but the proof will be next Tuesday at the open mic. When I signed up for the course, I thought it was to learn comedy writing skills, and, as noted in my diary entries, I wanted to write comedy with an edge, like Ben Elton. But on our first morning, the tutor had told us he'd booked an open mic night at an inner-city pub, where we were to perform with other wannabe stand-up comics, after our second and final class. I suspect it was stage fright that caused numbers to halve for that second class, and it worried me too. Following another busy weekend, I only had 2 days to finish writing and start practicing my routine. Monday, 3rd of November. Should have spent the afternoon working on a billable project, but instead I focused my efforts on the comedy sketch. At last it has an ending, one which closes the opening and middle bits. Now all I have to do is memorise the lines and stop rewording it. A vain hope, because, as the years since have proved, I always edit, tweak and reword my writing. The Tuesday of the open mic evening was also Melbourne Cup Day in Australia. Despite only being a contractor, one of my customers had invited me to participate in their Cup Day lunch, and like the race, the festivities ran long into the afternoon. Afterwards I had to rush to collect my son from childcare, and as we walked home, Daddy entertained him by practicing my comedy routine and tweaking it. I was still reworking the sketch when I should have been heading to the pub, and for a moment I considered joining the other half of the class and bottling out on the night. I had wanted to write comedy, not perform it. In the end, I realised I could deliver my lines, but only if I could read them. So I cut the script into A5 pages and stapled them inside my October edition of the Big Issue magazine. the perfect prop for a political comedy sketch. The tutor had organised a running list of current and former students for the open mic night. Most were funny, and some of the alumni had had professional gigs, and no one read from a script until Tuesday, 4th of November. Walked up, took the mic and opened with, "Oh, look what it says here in the big issue." Despite lack of eye contact as I read and performed the sketch, my lines got a few laughs, and I soon got over the jitters and enjoyed the adrenaline rush of being on stage. Others from my class had mixed success, but old John's magic tricks provided a surprisingly entertaining finale. It's 18 years since my one-night stand. The final entry in my diary for the evening was the question, "Will I do it again?" To which I'd answered, maybe. Rereading my Two Presidents comedy sketch, stapled inside the now yellow big issue, I still find it amusing and pointed, though the political material is dated and the writing needs an edit. Surprise! And, upon reflection, there are cheap gags of which I'm not proud. It's unlikely I'll ever take the mic on a stand-up stage again. But maybe I could tweak the script and narrate it for Tall and True Short Reads. Watch your podcast feed. Hi, I'm Robert Fairhead from Tall and True Short Reads and the Tall and True Writers website. My One Night Stand is a blog post I wrote in November 2021 about a comedy writing course and my one night stand as a stand-up comic in November 2003. I thought I might have to pad out the post with lines from my Two Presidents sketch when I started it. But the extracts from my 2003 diary and my memories proved sufficient to tell the story of the course and my one night stand. The sketch is not up to the standard of my comedy writing hero, Ben Elton. However, as I mentioned in the blog post, I still find it amusing and pointed, and I'm planning to tweak the script, drop the cheap gags, and narrate it for Tall and True Short Reads. So watch your podcast feed. Thanks for listening to my One Night Stand. You can read all my short stories, blog posts, and other writing at tallandtrue.com. You can also buy my short story collections from the Amazon Kindle and Kobo online bookstores. Links are available in the show notes. The next episode of Tall and True Short Reads will appear in your podcast feed shortly. In the meantime, don't forget to check your feed or the podcast website, tallandtrueshortreads.com, for earlier episodes from seasons 1 and 2. And follow or subscribe to the podcast and rate and review it via your favourite listening app. Doing so helps other listeners find my writing. And finally, please support this podcast by telling your family and friends about Tall and True Short Reads and the Tall and True Writers website.